But
Yeah.
my number 10 of the year coming in fucking 2 days ago
Oh
to
shit.
horrify me and blow my mind is I believe it's pronounced Titan.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talk about that. I did not see that one.
This movie is buck wild. I don't
Okay.
know what is going on with this fucking thing.
There's a lot of stuff in there for sure.
Okay.
It's a very interesting movie in terms of like what it's thematically going after, and I think it's
Yeah.
remarkable what it does.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I even fully understand everything that it's going after,
Mm-hmm.
but it has just such effective deep layers of like trauma and of people like bonding just because of their experience. It's I don't know. The movie's insane and it's also fucking disgusting. Less so than I think his prior entry. I don't know though, because I watched this and I watched Raw for
Did you
the
say
first time
his?
this or her last
Yeah.
entry, my bad. Um and I don't know, they're both pretty upsetting in their own way, and I did spend a lot more of Titan just with my mouth agape, horrified. Um oh god, there's this I don't know. There's this amazing scene. Just in the scene where she's in the house at the very beginning and more people just keep popping out. And then the one guy pops out and she just
Mhm.
comes over and like hugs him and she's just like, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The whole like first like 20 minutes is a fucking. So there's something really interesting about like between what's her, let me get her name exactly. It's Julia.
Yeah, the lead.
No, the director.
Okay.
Julia Ducorna. I'm pronouncing that extremely wrong. But between her and like Lynn Ramsey, they have such a visceral, real way of portraying violence in film that it's fucking horrifying to watch. And sometimes
Okay.
like it's really well done like violence. Like
Okay.
the scene where near the beginning of the film, Matt, where that guy is stalking her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how she portrays like how the violence kind of erupts from that. It's just so like it's something so visceral and so fucking uncomfortable, but also like kind of gripping to watch. Like
Yeah.
like that's only like a fraction of like what like transpires throughout the rest of this movie. This movie's a whole trip, and you can't really like. It's hard to talk about it in full because
It,
the story kind of goes in a totally different direction after
yeah,
the
it
first 20 minutes.
it literally like completely veers off. It's insane the direction that this movie goes. The man, the like middle-aged to old man who's like the second lead of the movie is fucking insane. That
Oh, he's
guy is
great too.
such a
Yeah.
powerhouse. And so is the lead in it's a very different performance, but
Yeah, Vincent Lindon and Agatha Roselle.
yeah, are
Yeah.
both just oh god, this movie's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Um yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if I can recommend it to anyone. It's the most.
I think it's definitely worth a watch for sure.
It's definitely worth a watch.
Because its themes are definitely like as we kind of like evolve as a society. I think these themes are becoming more and more discussed. That it tries to like the whole idea of like trans politics and gender neutrality and toxic masculinity and femininity and just like how that movie really kind of
Is that what that movie's about? I don't know.
so.
I don't
think that's
know. Like, and if
it's
it
been a
is,
lot of, yeah.
if it is, I'm all about that. But I don't know. I don't know.
Looked up any like interviews with the writers or directors, see if what their take is.
When it initially came out, I haven't looked at it recently, but I would say it's definitely leaning in that direction in terms of like
I certainly think that that is one of the many. That is certainly one of the many things going on in this movie.
because like,
Um,
where they become at the end, you know, what happens at the ends, like I think is quote unquote a whole new identity. You know what I mean?
you think that that's?
Like with the
Are you talking about the last scene?
yeah, yeah, with what transpires and what like evolves from her. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
them.
I don't.
You
I
know,
don't.
like it's both like really in your face, but also very subtle. I don't know. It's a very complicated and interesting film, and I think goes beyond what Raw. Like Raw is just very visceral to watch. Then you watch
Raw is very
this.
visceral to watch. I think the human element maybe works better in Raw than it works in this movie, but this movie's it's a
I don't
wild
know.
ride, and it's
Yeah.
one of two. It has an extremely specific subject matter that I never thought I would see in a movie, but I've somehow seen in 2 movies this year. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's I if you know what, I'll just say I can't say anything more about it. If you're curious, watch it. It's a wild ride.
It's a French film for
Oh, okay.
everyone playing at home.
Yeah.
And it won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, did it win
Okay.
the Palme d'Or?
Yeah, it was big. So
Yeah.
I hope it gets some Oscar recognition. I don't know if the Oscars will take a poke at
The
this. but
Oscars are I can feel the Oscars
yeah, if you win
would
Palme
never
d'Or, that's
touch.
huge. That's
Yeah,
huge though if you win the Palme d'Or.
It is, but like
I just don't know how this
I don't
becomes
think the
accessible for the Oscars. You know what I mean?
And
It's
it's-
such
and the thing about the movie is it's incredibly unaccessible. Which is part of I think what works about it, but it's in no way, shape, or form from 15 minutes in to the end of this movie is this movie accessible.
oh,
it's
I would
not-
even say the second it starts. You know?
Yeah, really from the second it starts, it's not inaccessible. Like you
Yeah.
are there for a ride, whether or not you understand what that ride is, you are going on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie's whew.
Yeah, it's a trip. It really is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 10.
Okay. I'll go
It-
next.
Cool.
It's a classic. Everybody's talking about it. It's our boy. It's Nick Cage. It's Pig.
Big baby.
Yeah, I think anyone who's seen this can vouch. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's an incredibly simple story in many ways, or in most ways I should say, but the presentation of it and what it does with its characters is really something profound and maybe kind of new, or at least something we haven't seen in earnest in this way. I wouldn't say in a long time, but it doesn't happen very often, we'll say. It's just a movie about love and grief and I guess fighting for a reason to fight in the world and keep going on. I really don't want to spoil too much of it. It's just about Nick Cage is a truffle hunter, and he has a truffle hunting pig. But he also has a mysterious past, very mysterious past. And through the course of the movie, we learn about him and his troubles and what brought him to where he is now. And it's just very profound. It's just about a guy, looking for his pig and what that means to him and what it should mean to us. I read a review of this that described this movie as inverse John Wick, and I really, really love
That's
that
a good way of
description.
putting it. Yeah.
Where I'll say in John Wick, it's a classic story of a very masculine man confronting his other masculine opponents one by one and dueling them violently in battle, and one of them is victorious. And someone described this movie as that, but instead of dueling physically and with their masculinity, it's a duel of heart and words and passion, and it's a duel of defeating people on an emotional level that ultimately makes everyone involved in that situation a better and more honest person. So yeah, it's just a very unique, beautiful piece of writing. I'll leave it at that.
Well said. My number 10 is Ridley Scott's The Last Duel.
Oh, okay. I'm really glad we get to talk about this.
So so it takes place in 14th century.
Yeah, 1300s.
Yeah, 1300s, and it's about this guy played by Matt Damon who I want to make sure you get my facts right. Hold tight. It's about this guy. Matt Damon is like he's this knight that this French nobleman who gets together with Jodie Comer, who's like this woman, who's this woman whose father owned a large part of land, and his friend, played by Adam Driver, is another knight that ends up sexually assaulting Jodie Comer, and throughout the course of the film, you get 3 different perspectives on how the assault went on and how it led up to it, and then its singular aftermath of what happened. So it's a very compelling piece about kind of like ego and, you know, again, toxic masculinity kind of being at the center of it. You know, Me Too being a huge aspect of it as well, and just kind of like how a woman's voice is squandered. And just what I found really interesting about it too is perception. So the first part of the film focuses from the viewpoint of Matt Damon, and there's this moment where he comes home after time away during several grueling battles, and he's embraced by his wife Jodie Comer, and, you know, he's celebrated by the townsfolk and whatnot for coming home. And then in her perspective, it's the same scene, but everyone is a bit down, and he's in a bad mood, and they don't embrace or whatever. So it's very very stark and contradicting viewpoints about how one sees themselves or sees a situation that they're in, and the kind of interpretations that people get from situations. It's fucking brutal. It's like it's fucking gory up to the brim. Like there is some fucking kills in this film that you would see like in like some fucking like Mortal Kombat level, where there's this guy taking a sword and stabbing him through the head into the chin. It's fucking it's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
It's shot wonderfully. Like you know, Ridley Scott is a remarkable visionary filmmaker first, and I think he was lucky to have a really great script here. The cast is great. Matt Damon is really great in this movie. I really enjoyed him in this.
Yeah, of course.
Ben Affleck's fun. Adam Driver's always great, and Jodie Comer's very good. But yeah, no, it's a 2.5 hour long film, but it's riveting on every second, and just kind of interesting to see how sexual assault was handled at that time, and just how it's more about violating one's property as opposed to like understanding and feeling any compassion towards the victim itself. So for a filmmaker like Ridley Scott to tackle that in a very compelling way at the rightful age of 82, he does a really good job coming off the heels of House of Gucci, which is not
Wait,
such
he
a
directed
fun
that?
film.
It's
Yeah,
actually
House of
the other way
Gucci.
around.
Oh.
The Last Duel
Did he
came
do-
out first.
Oh, interesting. So then coming off of this, going to the
He
House of
eased
Gucci.
down with Father, Son, and House of Gucci,
Hmm.
which
You did elevate to that. Yeah, you're right.
which we found out. I found out today. Lady Gaga improvised that line like an absolute queen. The
Yeah.
Father, Son, House of Gucci line.
Father, Son, House of
House of
Gucci.
Gucci.
Dude, there's this one interviewer who was talking to Lady Gaga saying like it is the greatest line in cinema history.
Well,
I
And
think
they-
I agree.
they were
Like,
probably
let's
joking,
calm
right?
down. Let's calm down. This fucking guy was like, Lady Gaga, you were fantastic in this movie. You were
He's just-
fantastic.
He's just cucking her real hard.
Oh yeah, you
Look-
know how these interviewers are. But it was
Look-
fucking incredible.
Here's the thing. It sounds like he's not like a particularly good person, but he is fair.
God damn it, Matt.
I wanted to say about The Last Duel. So I'm super fresh off of this,
Mhm.
like as in less than 12 hours ago.
Oh, you watched this? Nice.
Yeah. It really surprised me because the trailers for it, you gotta admit, super generic.
Yeah.
Just kind of looks like a very standard historical drama. But everything you said, totally agree. Very well said. The main thing I wanted to double down on was, so for people who don't know, because the trailer doesn't reveal this, and it's probably good that it doesn't, or at least I don't think it does, that the movie is divided into 3 distinct chapters.
Yeah.
The first one follows Matt Damon, the second one follows Adam Driver, and the third one follows the wife. I can't remember the actress's name.
Jodie Comer.
Comer, yeah. So I'm guilty. I went into this movie trying to hate it. I can only admit that now that I've seen it, that I was wrong, because of Ridley Scott's millennials take.
For
earlier.
his cell phone take.
Yeah,
I'm all about
that-
it. I'm all
that-
about it. Get it, Ridley.
That just gave me such fucking awful boomer vibes that I went into this being like, what a cuck. This guy's such a tired piece of shit. He's 82. This is like, and I was also, because of just about what the story, sexual assault is the central aspect of the entire story. It is really awful and graphic, and it's about sexual assault. For sure, and going into it, I was really expecting the subject matter not to be handled well, because it was written by the one woman writer, but then also Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, right? So I was like, oh,
They're good writers though, if they're because they wrote Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, oh
you
yeah,
know?
of course. So sometimes they pull it together.
Yeah.
But anyway, but what really threw me through a loop is for the first 2 acts of the movie, I was under the impression that like Matt Damon in particular and also Ben Affleck were just doing an awful job. I thought their performances were unbelievable and really out of line for their history and their standards. And then the third act reveals, that was their point of view. It's between you're being told the exact same 3 stories, or God damn it, you're being told the same one story 3 times through from 3 different perspectives, and depending on what perspective you're in, the performances vary wildly. Like
Especially Matt Damon.
Yeah, that was the part that really. I didn't realize it had happened until like after the credits had rolled, and so I'm too fresh off of it to put it in my top 10. But I have a feeling that as time goes by, this will be a retroactive top 10 for me. So yeah, it was really great, really great.
I really enjoyed how he handled the story with that, and yeah, I thought it's again just another Ridley Scott banger. He doesn't always have bangers, but when he comes out with a banger, it definitely sticks.
So you're anti House of Gucci, Justin.
I am anti House of Gucci, unfortunately. I will open my house to Al Pacino and Jared Leto, though. I'm dead! I'm dead! You killed me! I'm dead!
That
So
part's great.
good. It's
I
so
really-
good.
I haven't seen that, but I really
Um,
like
So that's
Jared
last
Leto as
duel
an
for
actor.
me.
Oh,
As number 10.
House of
Okay.
Gucci is my 23rd on my list.
oh, that's still pretty high.
Yeah.
Not
no, it's
bad.
very
100
high.
and something.
Yeah.
It's 40.
My number 9, which we'll find out if we'll talk about again while we're here, is maybe not actually, is Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog. Benedict Cumberbatch, he's a bad guy. I don't know. It's a very good movie. I know you've both seen it.
Indeed.
Kirsten Dunst is great in it. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone's really great in it, but
all the
her in
principals
particular.
are excellent.
Yeah.
everybody's phenomenal in the movie. Kirsten Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, give especially standout performances.
You could double feature this with There Will Be Blood. Like it's a really it feels like a cousin to There Will Be Blood.
I would argue that this is a new modern classic western. Earnestly, I think this like it's not. It's not quite up there with like Once Upon a Time in the West or There Will Be Blood, but I would put it very closely like one tier below those
Yeah.
movies.
Well,
Everything about it was just excellent.
And
well,
it's-
and I
it's-
think
yeah.
I think that it I don't know. I think it struggles with I think it really does really well with the struggle of what it must have been like to kind of be different or be gay or be just
A
not
woman.
or be a woman in the Old West, and it's
Anything but a straight white man, as you know, as the stereotype goes, but it's true.
yeah, and it really I think it does such an intelligent job as a film where like you look at There Will Be Blood and you're like, "Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis's character in that movie is an unforgivable pile of shit
Yeah, you
who's
just accept that.
completely irredeemable."
Yeah,
And I think this movie does a really great job of like, yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch is a humongous piece of shit in this movie, but it also like completely walks you through his mindset of what's going on with him, and it's very clear, especially in the second half of the movie, that he has just been trained that this is how you deal with being different, is you shove it down and you refuse to accept it.
mm-hmm.
Because from descriptions of the character, he's from other people, from descriptions of his character in like prior to when you see him in the movie, he's described basically as very closely to what I believe it's Cody Smith McPhee's character acts like. So
Mhm.
it's very clear that the like Bronco Henry character was just like, you cannot survive in this way, you don't get to act this way, which is, you know, essentially what he starts doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very good movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I also just want to say with it too is like it's interesting to see kind of like how modern machinery and technology starts to kind of make its way into the film as it like drifts away from the West, and like you know by the time we get to the end of the film, it's like the Wild West is kind of dead once
Oh,
certain
I didn't
characters pass.
I didn't think about that while I was watching it. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
to
I didn't
consider.
pick up on that. Yeah,
That's
I'll
cool.
have to.
Yeah. I don't think it's like one it's a big part of the film. I just felt like that was an aspect of it that was
Yeah.
part of the overlining kind of like here is how things advance and evolve, and how some people deal with different things in their life, and like whether they grow with it and want to learn more from it or just stay in the same place and
Yeah.
just hide it all in. So
Yeah.
So my number 9 is The Power of the Dog.
Is
there you
it?
go.
Yeah,
Nice.
I already put it on the screen. I don't think I have much else to say. Yeah, I thought the honesty of the ending I love. I really love it when there's something unique about westerns, which is really the point of the western. Is the vast majority of them are supposed to be tragedies about the lonely man going off on his own and probably dying of hundreds or thousands of different things that could kill you in the Old West. And the ending of this really just shocked me with the starkness of that classic Western trope, but it was handled with a delicacy that I think I've never seen before in a Western.
It literally opens like with an image from like The Searchers, where it's like that last image in The Searchers with the door and like the John Wayne walking in the deserts, like away from like the front door.
Yeah.
Opens,
I totally know.
it opens near the beginning with a similar image like that. And it's like, here's the Western, and then it evolves into something else later.
I remember thinking that too. Very cool.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah, I don't have anything else to elaborate. It was fucking great. It's one of my new all-time favorite westerns, and it's
very good.
And westerns is one of my least favorite genres, but I really dug this. So
Yeah.
hell yeah. All right, Justin's number 9.
My number 9 is Titan.
Nice.
We went at length on this. I'll just say, again, it infuses a lot of like David Cronenberg's kind of body horror elements, we went at length.
Yeah.
I think in great detail about like what we think the film's about, what the film could be about, and just like its richness with it, like what it is trying to get across. It definitely has like a lot of themes and ideas that are spread throughout the film, and it's a very evocative film for that.
Okay.
It really is. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, like, yeah, that's just my number 9, and I really, really it definitely had some staying power with me for sure.
Well, and the body horror is just so effective in that movie. Like obviously, like
everything.
Oh my god, with the or just anything with the stomach was just. I was just like.
And the car scene near the beginning too.
Oh my god, that car scene. Oh,
it fucks.
That car scene fucks. Justin, did you see Jumbo?
Jumbo?
It's another French film. Shelby has seen it.
Dumbo?
I found out about it. No, Jumbo with a J.
No, we didn't watch Dumbo. That wasn't this year, Matt.
That was last year. That was
Tim Burton's Dumbo. That's 2019, baby.
I haven't seen Jumbo.
Jumbo's not very good, but it's a very similar subject matter.
Oh, good. I'll do a little digging on this. Oh yeah. Okay, this looks kind of interesting. 6.1 now.
Yeah, it's not very good, but ask Shelby about it.
Yeah, I'll hit her up about it. All right. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Matt,
Titan.
number 8.
My number 8, really divisive pick, a pick that will probably not be on most people's list, but was absolutely on mine, and I'm actually amazed is this far down my top 10.
Okay.
James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is my number 8 movie of the year.
I kind of wanted to talk about this film, and I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about it. I like this film.
So this film, I mean, obviously I'm a big, like, James Gunn is my favorite director. I was never not going to love this movie. And I do think that there are parts of this movie that don't work. I do think the movie kind of slows down in the second act in a way that's not really justified, and I don't really think it works out. But I just can't. The finale of this movie, the last 20 minutes of this movie is just so ridiculously effective. And it's like, I don't know, like, it's just so exciting to see, like, what is essentially $100 million trauma movie like put
Yeah,
onto the
it's-
screen, where I get to watch people's fucking I get to watch 20 people's heads explode in the first fucking 10 minutes of the movie. It's just it's fucking foul, but like James Gunn just has, I don't know, he just really has his pulse on something about the human condition that I don't really think that he necessarily gets enough credit for, but I think makes almost everything that he does just so effective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's the reason that his Marvel movies, which if described on paper should have completely bombed, are like some of the best entries in the Marvel franchise. And it's just because I think he just understands how people work in a way that I just don't know that a lot of directors right now have that. And just, there's something to be said about the fact that the man made me feel bad about a giant CGI'd starfish.
Yeah,
I don't know, like,
absolutely.
that's such an, that's, if you really think about it, such a shocking feat. It's, I don't know.
Mhm.
This movie's fucking great. It rules.
It definitely like kind of has like a 1970s kind of vibe to it that like yeah, it has that Troma vibe and how it handles its ensemble. Like you don't get a lot of like you get a healthy amount of Harley Quinn in the movie too. So it's not like just centered around her. You get a lot of
Yeah.
variety with the other characters and you get to know them. You get I
Mhm.
mean, all hail King Shark.
Sure,
Like
all Sylvester Stallone's best performance in years, clearly.
Oh
King
right,
Shark.
yeah.
He's
I keep
good in
forgetting
Creed.
that.
No,
But,
I know,
like-
I'm joking.
But like
Um,
I think I think this movie like him going off the heels of Marvel and then going on to a DC film and making it feel not like he made it feel not like a Marvel film. It's still his aesthetic, but
Yeah.
he made it like he worked it into that reality. And I think is a great working um s- superhero director right now.
yeah. It's the best revenge fuck in existence, is what
It
this
really
movie
is
is.
a great revenge fuck in a
Because
way.
he's just like, okay, you don't want me to make Guardians 3? I will go buck wild. And hey, it works for him.
DC did not hesitate. They were like, "Well, if you don't want him, Disney, we'll take him."
DC was like, here's $100 million, do whatever the fuck you want. We're not even gonna have reps on set. Just go goddamn nuts.
And then he ended up getting Guardians 3 back, which is like, what a fucking
Yeah.
champ.
It really, I think the thing about this movie is that I'm excited for him to finish his Guardians trilogy. I think that's great. But this makes me so excited for what the future holds for him, with nobody kind of holding him back and restraining him to their formula. I think it's very exciting.
Yeah. It's very
I think
cool.
something about this that was really impressive is like every single character in the squad gets their own mini arc that gets completed by the end of the movie, and all of them are either genuinely compelling or at least hilarious if they're
Yeah.
dumb, like
Yeah.
genuinely like with clever humor. Like God, that was really the thing that threw me through a loop. Is just, I mean, I was laughing constantly, and I really
Yeah.
did not anticipate that at all. I was expecting this to be a good movie, definitely better than the first one, but nowhere near as enjoyable as it is. It's so thoughtful in all of its comedy, and God, comedy on the mainstream for movies has been a dead genre for like a decade. I would argue, like you get like one or two good comedies a year these days, I feel like, and this is one of the two.
And it's just it's like a master class in the popcorn movie. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
I think it's worse rated than everything else in my top 10, and it's like not at the back of my top 10. It's just like, I don't know, the thing just works so goddamn well. That's
Alright.
I don't have a lot more to say. Yeah, that's
let's
about
keep
it.
going.
But
From the chat, Miranda says hi, Matt.
Oh, hi Miranda, how are you?
Okay. My number 8. God damn it, keep reformatting this shit.
And to the other two of you, I guess. Oh my god.
Love
What
it.
the fuck? Okay.
I'll be the bigger person and say hello, Miranda. I hope
Hi,
you're doing well
Miranda.
today.
Me and Miranda hung out and played D&D this week.
Fun.
Hell
I
yeah,
s-
well, it was very fun. I actually had a fucking great time.
Yeah, I miss D&D a lot. My D&D groups have all fallen apart, and now. Oh, stop the show, please. Okay.
Okay, my number 8 movie of the year is Judas and the Black Messiah.
Word.
Came out this
yeah,
year?
Yeah.
very beginning. That's
Like
why it
February.
squeaked
Oh
into
my
the
god,
Oscars.
you're right. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone who has seen it thinks it speaks for itself, and if you haven't seen it, you probably know what you're gonna get. Very important and powerful and poignant piece of media. There it is. Yeah, all of the principal performances across the board are wonderful, and they're all understated in a way where it clearly is servicing the history and the story first, and the message above all else. That at the core of this, you had a guy who at the heart of his movement was trying to get like shelter and food for poor people, and the government killed him for that. It's just
Yeah.
it's just awful. It's hard to talk about because
Well-
yeah, performances are all wonderful. They all service everything brilliantly, and yeah, very very important piece of excuse me, piece of media that's also really well paced. Like it's also enjoyable and entertaining as much as a story like this can be.
Yeah. It's a really effective thriller, and it's just like, it's mind-blowing that I can't think of another mainstream movie that's been made about the Black Panther Party ever,
No,
which
I
seems
can't either.
insane for such a huge part of our history that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
Everybody in this movie is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's so good. I'm just watching him do his fucking speech.
Also, what's crazy and uncanny is how what's his name? The FBI agent actor in this.
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
How Jesse Plemons is
Big
the
dog Jesse
living
Plemons.
incarnate of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, not only do they look similar, but they absolutely they're the one of the very very few type of actors who are willing to approach really like bad or broken people, but in genuine earnest ways. There's very rarely anything like showy or melodramatic about their poor performances. It's so crazy.
Literally played his son in The Master, so it's just
There you
incredible.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jesse Plemons has now showed up on our top 10 list 3 times this
He's
year.
gonna keep showing up every year.
No,
Yeah,
but
he's-
there are 3 Jesse Plemons. There are
Oh shit!
3
wow.
entries
Holy
that have
shit.
Jesse Plemons in them right now.
God damn. That's
He's a
crazy.
great actor.
He's a great actor.
All right, Justin, number 8.
My number 8 is he man or beast?
What the fuck?
Nightmare Alley.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Guillermo del Toro's ensemble neo-noir thriller kind of film. It's about
And-
this.
Can I take a quick pause? Please try to be spoiler-like, because I really, really do want to see
You wa-
this. I
you
just
wanna
didn't
be-
get it in.
You wanna be a
I
blind.
I will. Yeah, I won't say too much about this. I'll just say like it's about Bradley Cooper. He's a guy that's like a drifter. He ends up in this kind of on the road show, kind of freak show carnival setting that's run by Willem Dafoe. He creates a relationship with Rooney Mara, and as the movie goes on, he kind of learns about the the tricks and trades of like, you know, like how they make their business on the road, like doing like magic tricks and these little carnival specials, like you know, how do you attract certain kind of like freaks of nature and whatnot, you know, and you know, is someone a monster on the outside versus what they are on the inside. And as the movie progresses, that is examined very heavily. And like, so I wasn't crazy about Shape of Water. This is a movie where I feel like Guillermo del Toro does a very loving tribute to this era of film, this genre of film. And he doesn't like lean away or stray away from that aesthetic or that energy at all. And of course, like the film looks fucking incredible. Like there's scenes near the halfway point of the film where it takes place in a hotel room, and I'm like, God damn, make a BioShock movie, Guillermo, please.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Oh, that would be
he would
perfect.
kill it. He would fucking knock it out of the park. And just how the story evolves, it's so well done. The performances are fantastic across the board. My homegirl Rooney Mara is just, you know, I'm a big fan of her, and Bradley Cooper is very good in this. Leonardo DiCaprio is supposed to play Bradley Cooper's part, and I can see how that would have worked, but I'm happy with Bradley Cooper.
I'm always happy to see Bradley Cooper. What a guy.
Of course, yeah.
And Richard Jenkins does a great job. Ron Perlman does a good job. David Strathairn is in it quite a bit, and he's very good. I mean, just like, again, like the performances across the board are so good, and it's just a mesmerizing film, and I really enjoyed it. And you get to see a little Bradley Cooper dick, so
nice.
That's my review. Or that's
Hell
my number
yeah.
8, Nightmare Alley.
Ducky McQuack saying Del Toro is one of your favorite directors. Pan's Labyrinth, one of your top 3 movies. Matt, is Del Toro one of your all-time favorite directors? Because I know you're forever indebted to him because of Pacific Rim. Your soul exists inside that movie, right?
He's just compatible with Del Toro.
And I don't say that ironically. Yeah. I also think it's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
If they stop releasing 2013's Pacific Rim, my heart will stop beating. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Very good.
And every time somebody goes on YouTube and plays the battle theme, I gain strength. I think Del Toro is an amazing director. I certainly think I actually, with the exception of Nightmare Alley, I think I rounded out his filmography this year because I'd never seen Mimic.
Okay.
Oh, Mimic's.
Yeah, Mimic's okay, but those cockroach designs are buck wild. Like Mimic itself, the movie is fine. I think
Devil's Backbone fucking rules, dude.
Yeah, Devil's Backbone's my favorite Del Toro movie.
I like Kronos a lot too.
Kronos wasn't as much of a hit for me, but yeah, Del Toro's amazing. I'm watching the Pacific Rim trailer right now. I might fucking pop it on after we get done with this podcast.
That's right.
I gotta. I shouldn't say this on stream, but I have a DVD of Nightmare Alley, if you know what I mean.
Nice.
Portal to Cinema.
A different Portal to Cinema.
No, yeah, this is the perks of your trade, right?
Yes, the perks of my trade.
I'm trying to see.
Right.
Oh yeah, we might have to have a conversation because I was hoping to catch it, but it's not playing anywhere.
Yeah, I got you covered.
So my number 7 is the Nicole Kidman AMC Theaters video in Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This.
Oh my God.
That's fucking great.
Oh, it's
No,
incredible. I'm so
my
glad
number-
you said that.
My number
Uh.
7 favorite movie of the year is Judas and the Black Messiah, which we just talked about in length. So I don't really feel the need to
Nick is just playing the Pacific Rim.
I just
fight scene.
I just typed in the fucking name and now I'm going to the trailer. Okay.
I stand for that. I think every video from now on should just be the Pacific Rim fight scenes. I don't really, the only thing I really have to add about this movie that we didn't talk about is just really to shine a spotlight on Daniel Kaluuya's performance, because he is
He's very good.
everybody's great in
absolutely.
this movie, but Daniel Kaluuya in this movie is absolutely, it's a complete powerhouse performance, and he's such an impressive actor, and he's every time he's on screen, I mean, he can be like a supporting character in Black Panther, and like the second that he is on screen and he talks, you're just like in. He's just such an engaging presence, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah,
That's
he's great.
it. That's it. That's all I
Some-
have to say we haven't said about
something
that
that this movie really enlightened me toward the history that I didn't really realize, and it makes perfect sense, is that Fred Hampton, for at the time, you know, for I think most of this movie he's really kind of just doing social service work in the black community, but it's really the point when he starts talking to all the different communities, like the white communities and the other like non-American immigrant communities, and uniting them, that's the point where the FBI were like, okay, this guy really needs to be shut down. Like, I had no idea about that, so super enlightening film if no one has seen it, and a very important piece of media.
and I believe is on HBO Max, unless they've pulled it.
Okay.
So it's very easily accessible.
All right.
All right.
Or you can go to
Wow.
Pirate Bay.
Stop it.
Oops.
We're live on stream. Don't talk about her.
My
fine.
number 7.
Sorry, Bay.
Speaking of Pacific Rim, is Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh,
Hey, let's
interesting.
go.
I mean,
Wait,
Kong
no, we're
is
playing the
people's
fight scene.
champion.
We're gonna play the
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
scene.
you gotta play that fight scene.
Wait, 1 sec. Look at the stream. 1 sec. With emotional shit, and they did try to do that, and it worked. So, yeah, Kong was such a surprisingly wonderful character, just so, you know, adorable and likable and all the cheesy shit that he's supposed to be in a Mouse movie. And conversely to that, no, I don't.
You do say it a lot.
It's a good universal insult. Conversely to that, Godzilla is not a cuck. He's so fucking tight, bro. But also,
Nick doesn't
you know,
want anyone to think he's a beta cuck, so he needs to just say it every fucking 20 seconds.
yeah, you know what you're getting. It's awesome. I love it. To drive my point home, of all the movies that I have seen the most this year, I have only watched this movie the whole way through, I think twice, but I've rewatched all of the fight scenes. Like, I want to say, I'm good. I'm out.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Then I have nothing to add. This movie
Oh,
rocks.
okay.
I really need to rewatch it because I tried to get the theatrical viewing experience, but when this movie came out in Washington, where we live, the only way to do that was to go to a drive-in movie that plays, which this one was.
That's sad.
So I couldn't really effectively see about half of this movie.
Yikes.
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 And I still really enjoyed it. I think it
Damn.
works
Wait,
really well.
You saw it since then, though, right?
I have not.
Oh, bro!
revisited
Wow, you're
this
gonna
movie,
have
and I
such
need
a
to,
great
yeah.
time. Holy shit.
But yeah, Kong definitely lost the fight, but won the war for our hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Well, yeah. What was it? Godzilla won the movie, but Kong won our hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any iteration of that.
Yeah. I think as a big Godzilla fan. It falls definitely into like the 90s kind of pattern of Godzilla films that I really enjoy, where it's like
Okay.
it's just enough plots that it doesn't get so wrapped up in itself and its characters that it just like lets you kind of enjoy the big spectacle moments. And for a filmmaker like Adam Wingard, where he was 2 for 2 for me, I was really nervous about like, oh God, if Michael
Yeah.
Daltrey, the guy who loves Godzilla, fucked up Godzilla quite a bit with the last one. How's this guy gonna do it? And he knocks it out of the park. I would love to see Adam Wingard, because not only is his visual style
God, I
fun,
forgot that was him.
But I like the his Blair Witch iteration. I understand that a lot of people don't. But
No, that was awful as well.
yeah. No, I get it. I understand the feeling. But I think he just plays
Interesting.
so well in this zone.
just
I
fun.
don't know.
Yeah.
He just plays well and fun.
Yeah, he just know. I believe it's your number 7.
My number 7. We gotta do like a Godzilla marathon. I'm here for it. My number 7 is let me make sure I got the right director here. It is Joel Cohen's The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Oh.
I'm
I
a
want to see that.
I'm a sucker for any iteration of Macbeth. You can have it be purely action, purely just based on performance. There's so many interesting different interpretations that you can do of Macbeth, and I'm here for it. And I love Joel Cohen's take on it. Joel Cohen's take is very like stark Tarkovsky kind of vibe, where it's very like stylistic with its like camera work and setting, like it being like a 4:3 ratio, and it's feeling very theatrical as opposed to like, you know, like making it try to feel real. It feels very dreamy. I love how they how he interprets the witches in this one. I think Frances McDormand is stellar in this. I really enjoy Denzel Washington's performance. It's a bit more casual than I like my Macbeth to be. Like for Macbeth, I like all my Shakespeare to be a bit big and loud. And his was a bit more casual. Although you could argue like Macbeth in the story is kind of a fucking loser, or as Nick would like to say, a cuck. Because it's really, at the end of the day, it's Lady Macbeth's, like, you know, Lady Macbeth is calling a lot of the shots and telling Macbeth what to do, in terms of like how to ascend the throne. But I really enjoy all the performances across the board. I love the imagery for a lot of this stuff, and I think Joel Cohen, just going out by himself as a filmmaker without his brother to aid him on this, I think him as a director alone really knocks this out of the park. And I loved this interpretation of Macbeth. So that's what I have to say.
Nice.
It looks fucking great, and
Yeah.
Denzel is such an amazing casting choice. I'd love to see his iteration, because I'm pretty sure he's probably done this role on Broadway or on.
I wouldn't be shocked.
on-
I think he's done
Yeah.
King Richard.
Okay, that's probably what it was.
But yeah, like again, it's a very casual performance, but I think it's still a very good performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think is Matt.
Yeah,
first?
it's me.
Alright.
All right, my number 6 is something that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I have a feeling at least one of you, but probably both of you, is going to have some stuff to say about this down the line. My number 6 favorite, I guess I will call it, movie of the year is Bo Burnham's Inside.
Whoa.
I don't know. It's just such a the reason that I'm going to not spend a ton of time on this is I have a feeling that I'm probably, out of the three of us, the coldest on Bo Burnham as like a general performer, but I think there's just something that's so undeniable about kind of the heartbreak that's in the second half of this thing. And you know, I think as people who work in the arts and people who at least me and Nick are people who are performers or have been performers, the idea of something post the release of this and was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, he's not dead.
Yeah.
And
the thing, what's incredible is that he's fully aware of that's what a lot of people are gonna think when this comes out. Like, he has to be aware of that.
yeah,
You know, sorry, go ahead.
I think this is lower on my list because I really did not engage with the beginning of this thing. And I essentially did what you did with The Last Duel. And I came in almost wanting to fucking hate this thing.
Oh, really? Were you just like overexposed to Bo Burnham culturally or something?
A lot of his stuff doesn't hit for me, and I kind of think that it's really encapsulated in the first song that's in this special, where I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I just am like, yeah, I don't know if you should maybe really be speaking on some of the things that you get to speak on. And I just, I have some stuff with Bo Burnham, but I really left being like, well, that thing's just fucking undeniable. Like, you can't. It's just such an effective piece of art, regardless. Say on it.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm up. Wow. Does anybody else have a movie on their list with the title of Dune?
Oh.
Maybe don't spoil it if you do or don't. Keep it a surprise, actually. Don't tell me. Dune. I loved Dune for all of the obvious reasons that fucking kids who grew up on deep fantasy sci-fi movies would love Dune.
Is it because you finally got to see a character that loves sand?
Oh, hey, nice. I actually am surprised I haven't heard that. I genuinely don't think I've heard. I've heard people just make the joke, but I haven't heard people flip it on its head. And okay, nice, good one, man. Anyway, this movie has so many funny sand jokes in it, guys. That's why I loved it. No, the art direction is incredible. Denis Villeneuve, I would say, is my favorite director, second only to Bong Joon-ho. And this just really continued to solidify my appreciation for him. Every shot of it, even though like 90% of the movie, the entire frame is either orange or gray, I still quite love looking at it, and I can actually understand how people wouldn't for that exact same reason. But yeah, gosh, the way he moves his camera operators and directs his cinematographers and the people he hires, it's just incredible. It's top tier, man. And really, I don't know, it's really honestly the thing I love most about this movie is just being immersed in it, and that's it. I just love existing in this movie because it's fun enough where you want to like keep playing along, but also there's enough despair and dread where the stakes feel really heavy. And of course all the sci-fi world building and the technology and the way they display like the shield technology, for example, is I think some of the best, I'd say probably the best like I've seen in terms of making a very realistic, believable force field technology. Because for those who don't know, such technologies on a very base level do already technically exist. It's just kind of like a one hit thing where like an explosive will hit a tank and then reactive armor will trigger like an electronic wave that'll detonate it and protect the tank, but you can only use it once. So in other words, I think like a lot of this technology in this movie is theoretically plausible long ways into the future, and that's always a big fun aspect of these deep sci-fi movies. You're like, damn, a lot of this, really far in the future I think could be possible if we make it. So yeah, love it, man.
I hope that I live to see a future where we have sick ass dragonfly ships.
Dude, I know, I love the ships. A lot of people who have criticisms seem to really dislike them, but I thought they were great.
That was like
Weird.
that was like the most engaging part of the movie for me, was just there was this giant establishing of the thing that like picked up the sand harvester, and it like launched like a hot air balloon out of it, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is
Yeah.
so cool. Like I have some other issues with the movie
I do too.
that don't
They're
I
so
don't think
minor.
I think they're more sizable for me.
Oh,
But I would say that my gripes really, when it boils down to it, most of them are about the source material more than they are about this movie.
okay.
Just because, I don't know, there's just certain things that like rubbed me the wrong way about how the story was structured, about how some of the characters, but it's like a visual like masterclass. The thing's insane, obviously, but yeah, it didn't quite work the same for me.
Oh,
but
also we have to include in the Daisy Ridley Tom Holland squad of only decent in their original franchise. I don't know if Zendaya is a decent actor. I don't think she's like
I
actively
think it's too
bad.
early to tell.
I
That's
think
fair, that's
Zendaya is
fair.
good. Did you not watch this movie, Justin?
He's saving it. Don't-
I might talk about it later. I don't know.
I just don't know if you logged it, bud. I clicked on it.
Justin has been very stealthy. I don't know if it's probably not intentional, but I feel like Justin has been very stealthy about his logs this year. Because I always go to your profile and I'm like, oh my god, he watched like fucking 10 more movies since I was
No,
last
I think
year.
he just keeps forgetting and stockpiling and then going in and doing it.
It's not forgetting. It's more disappointing than it sounds. I've just been lazy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair.
But
Actually, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just in here, and the film is not logged as having been seen by you, Justin.
Oh,
I may have seen it. I may have not seen it. Who knows?
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay,
I
copy that,
don't want
copy that.
spoilers. I don't want spoilers.
Who's next? Me?
6.
Yeah, it's your 6th.
All right.
Justin's like, my 6th is Dune.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The snaps aren't coming through. It's getting cut by your filter.
Yeah, but I see, we see what's happening. We see
Oh,
what's
yeah.
happening.
When you're a jet, you're a jet, yeah.
Someone who hasn't been on my list in ages, and he came back with a banger of a film, is Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. So, for context, I first saw West Side Story at this theater. I was doing photography at the time with this photographer who does like school a theater albums like for like the families and whatnot. And we went to this one school that was doing a dress rehearsal for West Side Story. And I'd never seen West Side Story before. And this production was fucking bananas, and I was like, "What the fuck is this musical?" So I went into like after watching it, I was just blown away by it. I listened to the albums over and over. I watched the original 1956, 59 film, and or is it 61? And was just completely blown away by just like the original film's just like spectacle of like its dance numbers, the intensity with its choreography, and just its overall presentation. And when I heard Spielberg was gonna do this, I was like, all right, listen, dude, this is your first musical, and you're gonna do one of the granddaddy of all musicals, and you're on this kind of like you're mid-tier Spielberg right now. You're not really at your high. Like, can you pull this off? And when I went to go see this on Christmas Eve, I was completely baffled by how
Nice.
how remarkable Spielberg was able to pull this off and do it in a way that worked for him. My only issue with it is that I wish he's a lot more gentle, and like his take on the musical numbers for like the more like the Officer Krupke or like the romantic songs, they're fucking fire. They're so good. His opening number for like the movie, like the you can't beat the original. The original opening number from the first film is incredible, and the Mamba scene in the school dance is way better than the original. Those are my only gripes. Other than that, I loved what Spielberg did with this. I love the reinterpretation of Cool. Cool is done so fucking brilliantly, putting it right before the big conflict in the movie with the Jets and the Sharks, like having it be about his friendship with Riff and is it Tommy? Shit, what was his name? The Ansel Elgort's characters.
Yeah,
It's
Nasty
Tommy,
Boy
isn't it?
Ansel Elgort. It's not
Yeah.
Tommy.
Is it not Tommy?
Hold on. Tony.
Tony. Fuck me sideways. So anyway, Tony.
So you love West Side Story, huh?
Let's give me a break. So like just the context of like what that musical number means, and then I hate the number Officer Krupke in all iterations, but I loved what Spielberg did
That
with
thing.
Officer.
Oh, really? Wow.
That thing goddamn rips.
That his take on it and the execution of that number in this version was so fucking good. I loved it so much.
That
And
might be
that's-
my favorite scene in the whole movie.
It's really good. I love the repurpose of I Feel Pretty. I always forget it's in the musical, and when it shows up, it's perfect. Like especially in the movie where it's placed, it's so good. I love the performances, like casting Rita. Pull this up real quick. Casting the shop owner with Rita Moreno, playing
Oh, yeah.
Valentina, and having her do having her song.
The World for Us.
Yeah, I think so. Is it that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the song that she sings. I just don't know if that's the title.
Somewhere. It's somewhere.
Somewhere.
Like her doing it instead of Tony in the original, or Tony and Maria is so fucking good for like just again like the movie is about race relations and racism at the time and very stark differences between folks and whatnot, and just like it's a brilliant retelling of Romeo and Juliet, and I just think Spielberg just knocked it out of the park. Janusz Kaminski is cinematographer who usually makes these very boring, blasé, like gray looking, overly blown out window looking imagery for most of Spielberg's films since I think since the early 2000s. This is popping with color. It looks stunning. This is such a difference and step up from Spielberg's like last 12 years in film. So like he just knocks it out of the park with this, and I loved everything about this movie. And people who played Anita, like Anita was great, and
Ariana DeBose.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Like the lady who plays Maria, Rachel Zegler.
Yeah,
she's great. I mean, it's everyone's great. Like and Ansel Elgort, like he's definitely like not the best parts of this movie at all. I'd say if you cast Tom Holland instead, maybe be better.
Nice, got him.
But I loved his version of Tonight. Or no, I'm sorry, not Tonight. Maria. His Tonight was okay.
There's this. Oh, sorry.
No. I'm kind of going off now, but like
there's this really amazing part in Maria where he's walking by and he walks by this janitor and he's like, I've just met a girl named Maria, and the janitor gives him this look where he's like, fuck you, kid. He's like, I don't give a shit.
There's this high angle shot where he's looking up and he walks across like this large puddle, and it's just like he steps in this puddle and it does these little puddle wrinkles.
Oh,
and
the
like,
puddle thing's amazing.
It's so good. I'm just like, God damn it, dude, you still got it. I'm so stoked for Spielberg. So That's West Side Story. I've talked at length about West Side Story, so I love it. I loved it.
We'll get back
Alright.
around to it.
Uh-oh. Matt.
My number 5, right?
Yeah.
My number 5, because I'm a good little boy and I wait for things to release, is Nomadland.
Oh.
Because it didn't come out till fucking February.
That's awesome, dude.
I don't know. I think you two talked about this last year.
Probably.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
I
it's
mentioned it. It wasn't on my top
Right.
10, but I
I'm
mentioned
very
it.
aware of it.
it's really good. It's very well directed. Obviously Frances McDormand is great, and she does a big shit into a bucket. So top 5.
My next
No, it's
entry-
really powerful. It's a really, obviously it's a really poignant movie about kind of the American experience right now and what it's like to try to survive in kind of a world that's eating you alive. But then sometimes there's some beauty to that. And Frances McDormand shits in a bucket. All right, go ahead, Nick.
My number 5 is going to be equally as brief. The Suicide Squad.
Hey.
Yeah, baby. Really good, really funny. Huge surprise, genuine huge surprise. All the principals were great. The story, I agree. The second act of the story is weak. However, if you just pretend that this movie is a cartoon, everything makes perfect sense. And like I think it is like one of those rare movies that actually does come close. It's kind of like what Scott Pilgrim briefly mastered of something that's pretty fucking cartoony and over the top, but still plays really well in real life. It just looks really good too. I don't know if any of us said that. That was a huge shock. It looks so nice.
Yeah,
looks great.
The movie looks great, and I think the thing with the second act is that even if it slows down to just set up all these bowling pins of character arc, and just like you need the second act to be slower to set these things up so that the third act can just fucking knock them down one after the other, and it works so well. I never thought I'd get emotional about like Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Taika Waititi is in one of the best and one of the worst movies of this year.
What was the worst movie he was
You're talking about Free Guy?
Yeah, I'm talking about Free Guy.
Oh shit, none of us had Free Guy on our bottom 10.
Shelby watched
That
it. She
mother-
fucking hated it.
I fucking
Yeah, Free
hated it
Guy's
too.
awful.
That motherfucker barely escaped our grasp.
I skipped
Free-
that one hardcore.
Free Guy made me embarrassed to like video games.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. Good to feel that way.
Yeah, Free
Very
Guy made me
cool.
embarrassed to like video games and also embarrassed to like anything that exists in the mainstream. Justin, there's literally a part in Free Guy, because I know you're not going to watch it because it's bad. And now you have no reason to. There's a part in Free Guy where he hits a button and he pulls out a lightsaber and the Star Wars theme swells.
Oh god,
And then the lightsaber gets knocked out of his hand. This is in succession. He hits another button. The Captain America shield comes out. The Avengers theme swells. And then it cuts to Chris Evans on a phone watching it happen in the game. And he goes, "What the shit?"
Here, it's watch the stream.
Evans.
Watch the stream.
Oh my god.
Watch the stream. You have to.
Oh my god, are you playing it? Oh yeah, he's also fighting a large version of himself. Oh, I had it backwards.
No,
I
it
hate
wasn't.
this.
Oh, Andy does a whole can, that's right.
I hate
hate
this.
this.
This
I
is
hate
fucking
this.
awful.
Watch this whole scene.
This definitely would have been my bottom 10. for
But
sure.
then it's also like bizarre because it's almost this like really upsetting statement about like artificial intelligence and like
Ninja
I don't
doesn't
know.
know, for fuck's sake.
oh yeah, Ninja's in it.
It is.
This is the actual last duel. So
Oh no.
So the literal Star Wars theme is swelling right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're making one-liners, and then he
Oh,
has
that's right. He pulls
Yes.
out the Fortnite thing.
Is that a Fortnite thing, or
Oh
is that
my
the
God.
Half-Life? Is that
This
the
is a
Half-Life?
Half-Life?
thing?
So that's the
Dude.
Half-Life gravity gun, but the thing
Yeah,
with the
and-
unicorn on it is from Fortnite.
Okay, yeah, but Fortnite
Oh,
took
the
it
Portal?
from Half-Life.
Oh, come on, dude. Dude, this is fucking awful.
That's it. That's all there is. That's
Yeah,
all
that's
there
right.
is.
really
that
awful.
was the worst. That was the number one worst part of the whole movie, though. So, at
Oh,
least in my
God.
opinion. So, it doesn't. get worse
Sadly,
than
I don't know if I agree.
that. Okay, Justin's. Wait.
Yeah,
Is it mine?
Justin's number 5, baby.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5 is another musical. And let's just give it up for our boy, Andrew Garfield. He had such a fucking great year. Tick, tick, boom, baby. Tick,
Yeah.
tick, boom.
Whoa! Holy shit!
I was
Holy
really blown away by this movie. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just because I'm like looking at, like, yeah, 30 is not too far away from me either. But it's about this guy named Jonathan Larson who was a real American real composer.
I thought you
from
were
the
gonna be like,
I started
he was
reading
a
his
real
wiki.
bad guy.
I mean, apparently he was a piece of shit in real life. Is what I
He's
was.
kind of a piece of shit in the movie.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but like
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
more so in real life, is what I've
Sure.
been told by some of my theater friends. But
Oh, okay.
he in the early 90s he was trying to like make like a 1984 like musical, and he had been workshopping it for years and years and years, and just trying to like he had become frustrated with like trying to get something made and find it at the right moment, but his frustrations only come to a head as he approaches 30 and he feels like he's done nothing with his life. And I thought it was a marvelous film that did such a great job in kind of like analyzing someone's own creative ventures and struggles, and how that can deteriorate like relationships around you and kind of your own perspective of the world and yourself. And I thought all the musical numbers were spectacular. I thought Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I am pretty hard on as like an artist, like I don't feel like he's been like, I feel like he hasn't really done anything dramatic, like anything of substance since Hamilton. But I felt like, you know, his, and I know this is after the fact of Hamilton coming out, but like I really enjoyed In the Heights. Like I really enjoyed that musical, and I know he only like he wrote that musical. I know he didn't direct it, but I really enjoyed In the Heights more than Hamilton. And I loved like his direction, his kind of flavor to Jonathan Larson's musical here. And I think Bradley Whitford as Stephen Sondheim is fantastic, and all the Stephen Sondheim bits are really good in the movie, and how that's kind of like a through line for Andrew Garfield's character. And yeah, again, like the kind of the breakup song later on in the movie's really good.
The breakup song's great.
Yeah, it's really great with Vanessa Hudgens, who's terrific in this as well. I mean, everyone just does a stellar job with this, and in particular Andrew Garfield. Like I thought he was miraculous in this, and he would probably be the one I would like to see win the Oscar. I don't think he would, but I think he'd get nominated.
I was kind of happy to see him win the Golden Globe, because I also kind of feel like he's not going to win the Oscar. But it was nice to have him get recognition for the part, because he's phenomenal in it.
Yeah, and I felt like he's kind of like he's been in this weird zone for a while, and I felt like this past year, you know, like with this and Tammy, like Eyes of Tammy
And
Faye,
obviously with mainstream.
Oh man. I think so. I did not like Mainstream, and I thought Andrew Garfield did a good job trying to carry what was there. But
I haven't seen it. But
No, but oh my god, dude,
I
it's
saw
fucking,
Shelby's half-star review come in.
Yeah, she was real hard on it, and I didn't care for it either. But I thought he was good. Uh, yeah, between this and like I like Eyes of Tammy Faye. He's definitely a highlight of it.
Yeah.
And then of course he fucking wins Spider-Man. So like I'm just very excited. I'm really excited for him, and I hope that his career continues to evolve from here. Because I think he's a tremendous actor, and I think he definitely is the heart and soul of this film, and does a really good job portraying that. So tick tick
Yeah.
boom, number 5.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add, but it was one that this was one of like maybe actually my top movie that I throughout the year or since I watched it, I really kept wanting to find excuses to put it in my top 10, but it didn't quite make it. So I'm glad that you put it in there.
I was really
good.
surprised. I thought
Yeah.
I'd like it, but I didn't. It definitely stuck with me a bit
Yeah.
harder than I was expecting it to. So
Yeah, me too.
I
me too.
think it maybe would have gotten closer to. Yeah, that was kind of a thing for me. Which this is like number 15 on my list. It's really high up there. I keep finding myself going back to some of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Is what like in a way that I was not expecting to when I was watching the movie. I will also say I watched an hour and a half of this 2-hour long movie sitting in line to wait to get a COVID test on my phone, which was probably not the appropriate way to watch it.
actor.
No.
But it's even watching it in that way, it's still number 15 on my list.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Power of Andy Garfield.
Great way to spend a COVID line.
Yeah.
Recommend.
Okay.
Would
Matt-
recommend.
and Matt is number 4.
My number 4 of the year is When You're a Jet to the end.
Oh no.
Yeah, West Side Story is fucking great. I had never seen any iteration of this play prior to this. I didn't know what this story was. I didn't know that the movie was Romeo and Juliet, which is a story that I'm not fond of. So the first time I saw this movie, because of what the source material is, I was like, man, I don't know about this fucking thing. Fuck this thing. Because I can I do a spoiler for West Side Story? Can I do a potential spoiler?
It's been around
It's-
for like 50
it's like-
plus years,
yeah,
and it's
that's
Romeo
fine.
and Juliet. So
Yeah.
like,
When somebody kills your brother,
oh
that's
my
a deal
God.
breaker for me. That's a deal breaker for me. Call me fucking crazy. You can't come back from that. But thankfully I went to go see it again. I went to go see it like Christmas Day. My mom had not been to a theater since Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh
It's a
wow.
while.
So I was like, the new West Side Story's out. Well, let's go see it. I've already seen it, but I should watch it again. God, that movie fucking rips. Oh, that thing's so good. Obviously the woman who plays Anita is a high point. Rachel Zegler is amazing. Every part of that movie, with the exception of Ansel Elgort, is phenomenal. And even Ansel Elgort's like, putting aside all of his shit, Ansel Elgort is like acceptable in the movie, but everybody else has just come to play so hard that he just completely gets washed out every time he's in a scene with anyone. He just like I think he does a perfectly serviceable job in the movie, but everybody else just came to play with their fucking A game to the extent that he just cannot compete.
Yeah.
That movie's just, everyone else in that movie is unbelievable.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's really all I have to say about it. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, go fucking see it. It's amazing, and it made $6. Please go see it, for the love of God.
Guys, I have no passion for musicals. Please don't try to sell me on this bullshit.
Yeah, I know that you hate music and you hate singing, and you think the only time music's enjoyable is when people talk the lyrics at you, Nick, but you gotta give this a try.
They
I
don't
don't.
say
Th-
cuck.
I don't think I'll understand it, guys.
Yeah, the problem is, I think, Nick, I need to go see it and sit next to you,
Oh
and then
no.
every time they say the word jet, I need to replace it with cuck.
Okay.
When you're a cuck, you're a cuck
Oh
all the
God.
way.
Oh God. Good lord. Okay. My number 4. Getting into the big boys, baby.
Here we go, baby.
Yeah.
Double check. Yep. It's The Green Knight.
Oh.
Yeah, not
Mhm.
it was, and this was I don't think anyone would be surprised who has seen it. This was in my number 1, I think, for most of the year since I saw it, probably like 80% of the year since I saw it, and it really only went into number 4. I would say I would really say these top 4 movies are really a tie for me. But and the ranking from 4 to 1 is just like really just like personal like rewatchability or some shit. I don't know. So anyway, The Green Knight is just so incredibly gorgeous and like luscious. And there's so much being said and relayed to you, and all at once you can go with David Lowery's very specific interpretation, because I've watched him do, like the scene breakdown type things with Vanity Fair or whatever, and he has a very specific idea of his interpretation of what's going on and what the Green Knight represents, and does the ending happen the way people think it does, that kind of thing. So if you watch his interviews, he has a very specific idea of what basically the ending is. A lot of people are divided on it. However, I think it's very clear that he really wants people to just take away from this whatever they want to take away from it. This is just such a fucking vision, man. I mean, he wrote it and directed it and edited it, didn't he?
Maybe.
I don't know about that.
Let me check.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, and I would say, I don't know, I wouldn't say this is like the greatest movie of the last, few years or something, but I do think in terms of like one person's beautiful cohesive vision coming through as clearly as one could possibly make it, I think this is like one of the closest movies that could get to that concept in terms of just achieving like a perfect vision. It's so clear, but at the same time, you can interpret it in so many different ways and really just enjoy what you want to enjoy about it. There's so many things to enjoy. So yeah, it's just fucking amazing.
My number 4 is also The Green Knight.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I love this film. It's very, very I don't know if dense is the right word.
Yeah, I would say it's dense in
it's
a good way.
yeah, it's I would say it's dense then. In a good way. I think it does a great job kind of deconstructing kind of like the hero's journey and like kind of like, criticizing Dev Patel's kind of character and how he journeys through to get an easy legend, and how the characters that he meets criticize him for that, in terms of how he tries to attain honor and tries to become a somebody through the easiest method and through the least dangerous method. And I think there's a lot of thematic elements working here that are quite unique to Arthurian legend storytelling. And I think Dev Patel's great. I think Ralph Ineson, who plays the Green Knight, is spectacular. Alicia Vikander, who plays 2 different parts in this film, is awesome. And And then yeah, Joel Edgerton is great. It looks fucking stunning, and it feels like it's very much so deep fantasy, where it doesn't really like stray away from trying to be like, like it embraces its kind of really mythical, kind of old school kind of elements of fantasy storytelling, as opposed to like trying to make it very digestible. So I love the Green Knight. I loved his take on it, his spin on the story, the richness he added to it, and then yeah, I think it's a really interesting. I think it's a nice complementary piece to A Ghost Story too. I think it does a really good job with how it deals with life, death, legacy, and all that stuff. So yeah, Green Knight, a banger of a film.
I really
Absolutely.
like the part where he does a cum onto that scarf.
Dude, it's a
Yeah.
good cum. It's a good cum shot.
That's one of 2 movies this year, where people do a big cum onto some linen.
Yeah. I mean, we do need more male sexploitation in films.
Exactly.
We need
Guys, we need more fluids.
I hope next year there's like 8 big cums onto scarves.
Yeah. Oh, also, and remember when the handsome king kissed him on the horse?
Oh yeah,
That was fucking nice.
Yeah, I actually, that's, as somebody who maybe did not connect with that movie as much, that is like, that whole sequence is the best part of that movie to me.
Where he's at the castle.
Where he's at the castle with Joel
Yeah.
Edgerton.
Well, it's a
and
great
also
scene
still
because
Alicia Vikander.
It's great because it's given us different like interpretations of the Green Knight and
Yeah.
and his what this journey means to him. It's a very good sequence of just kind of deconstructing the whole movie in a way, or
Well, and
like the whole journey.
Yeah, and in the Arthurian legend, his character, what's his name? Joel Edgerton's character is the Green Knight.
Yeah, or in some versions of it, it's his mother.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
some other versions, it's the lady. So it's like there's so many different versions of this. So
I think what's great about this is genuinely like all of us could be right or wrong.
yeah,
I like the interpretation that the mother, she didn't create the Green Knight, but she sent out a spell to summon him, or at least get his attention.
Yeah.
And told him to come to, or at least maybe like not fully persuade him, but it was like, hey, just so you know, maybe you could help my son who's a deadbeat turn him into an honorable man. Also, do you guys know, or do you want to know what David Lowery's definitive take is for the end of the movie? Because there's 2 possible endings, and do you
Cuts
know?
his head off or he doesn't, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his interpretation is that he does not cut his head off. He lives.
Yeah, that the game is basically to prove that he's an honorable enough person to actually
Go through with it.
go through
Yeah.
with it. Which I think also the end of that movie is really effective.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's really good, man. Holy shit.
All right, I want to see Justin's face when I do this. Hi, Justin.
Uh-oh.
How are you?
What's
Hi.
going on?
My number 3 movie of 2021 is Promising Young Woman.
Oh, right. Okay, that's
Okay.
Fine. That's cool.
Boom, baby! Because I didn't fucking watch it last year because it came
That's
out in
cool.
January.
Yeah, go for it.
Hang on, let me do a little research here.
It's fine. We can bend the rules.
No, we talked about this last year.
Even if it came out like, it's fine.
But it didn't. It came out
It's
January
theatrical
15th.
release.
What?
Wait, hang on. Let me look. I'm looking at a
Widespread
few things.
theatrical release was January 15th.
Release February. It was theatrically released on December 25th, 2020.
It was limited.
And then and on video on demand on January 15.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's what it was, because I don't think theaters were open.
Fuck
When
it,
it was
because it's
releasing.
COVID, whatever. I don't care. It's COVID.
No, we literally talked about this last
Did we talk
year.
about this one?
Yeah, we talked about like
Pull up the VOD.
we all agreed that any movie that we didn't catch that was in this window.
It's I don't
That's
Counts
care.
for
It's
next
fine.
year.
It's
different,
fine.
though.
It's just one movie. It's fine.
No, literally, both
I-
of you
I-
had to use nefarious means to watch Promising Young Woman because it was unavailable everywhere
Oh
until
yeah.
it was streaming
Yeah, yeah. I'm
on
totally
January
cool with
15th,
it.
baby.
Fine, whatever.
Yeah, I do it. We can. talk about it,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you two talked about this movie at length last year. It rocks. It's super fucking good. Carey Mulligan's great in it. It's a really fun story. Obviously, Bo Burnham's really good in it. I don't know. Thing fucking rips. It was my number one of the year for quite a while. I think until June. And then two things beat it out. But yeah, it's a great movie. I'm not gonna
My-
take a lot of time on it. I just thought it would be fun.
My
I actually
number one
gotta
of 2020.
Say, no,
Yeah.
of last year. Okay, yeah. I gotta say, I've really softened on it since I've seen it. Mostly, it's just I think the ending is way too abrupt. Not what
I love it. It's so
not
good.
not
I-
her
yeah, I do-
ending, but the ending afterward.
I don't think I agree, but
I dislike that it was just kind of thrown in. I felt like the tone of that scene was supposed to be, oh yeah, she won, but like she didn't win.
did
Didn't win anything.
She did.
No.
She did win because she fucking had nothing to lose. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, she didn't win
That's
in the
very true.
sense that like she died, but I don't know, Nick, because I feel like if they spent another 15 minutes going in that movie when the main character was dead, I don't think you'd be super happy about that either.
No, well, yeah, actually, I think I would have. I think the more effective and earnest ending would have been the really bleak, awful ending.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that would have been a little too dark and far for that film because the film's a little, lack of
yeah,
a better word, bubbly compared.
yeah,
you
that's
know,
a-
Yeah,
very
the
good
film
point.
also
That's a very
the
good point.
film also already takes such a huge dark swing in killing her in the first place
Yep.
that I think if it just dead stopped with that, I don't think.
I think it's like the original ending of Get Out. If you just stopped with him getting arrested, that would have been a bummer ending, as opposed to like what they ended up going with in the ending of Get Out, where it's a security friend that shows up. You know,
Yeah.
But there's one incredibly stark difference between the ending of those two films. One of them is still alive.
Well, they're
And I for me that defeats the whole idea that it's supposed to be an even moderately good ending. I mean, and it obviously is better than the worst possible ending. But you guys do make a really good point that I think I really get lost with this movie when I recall it because everything leading up to that it's like very slowly on a very minuscule level just getting a little bit like darker with every scene, just a little tiny bit until you get to that one huge explosion and what happens at the end.
Yeah, that movie, I think that movie has a
yeah.
really excellent effective progression.
yeah.
I
And
don't know.
also that
I agree
fucking-
with everything except the very end.
And also that violin cover of Toxic fucking
Oh
rips.
yeah,
It fucking
that
rips.
was
I listen to that
so
thing.
Good.
Constantly. It's so fucking good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very good.
I feel that.
That and there's a really good if you two get around to watching the movie, I don't know if you will, but if you get around to watching Red Rocket, there's a really good one of the characters does a really good acoustic piano cover of Bye 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 by the Backstreet Boys, and it actually rocks.
Yeah, it's a fucking good song, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. This is probably going to be a controversial one with Justin a little
Jesus
bit.
Christ, guys.
This is going to be an entirely... Actually, I'd say these next two are going to be really controversial.
All right, so this one's
You guys
Eva.
like anime?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't controversial.
Okay,
I think I'm
glad-
actually kind of interested to have this discussion. I'm kind of waiting for this one.
So, actually, like, your review on Letterboxd perfectly encompasses everything that I feel about the movie. I think
All right, can I take a super quick pause?
Yeah, of course.
This is Evangelion, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't even say,
Sorry, it's Evangelion at 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I have only ever seen the original show, Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
People are slowly forcing me to watch the movies. This is a culmination of a whole deal. I'm gonna take my headphones off and walk away, so you guys
Okay.
can have this discussion.
That's
We'll
totally
be super
fair.
spoilery.
Yeah, I was
be vague enough.
I was actually not going to say a single thing about the characters or
All
spoiling.
right.
Because there's no
I would
don't want
say
to turn
though,
this into
if you
an Eva
want to,
discussion.
take 5 minutes.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
take a
if you
pee
wanna
break.
take a
I'm
break.
gonna take a
Okay.
pee break. I'm gonna step
right.
away. We'll see what
We'll be
happens when I
specific,
come
and
back.
when you come back, we'll have wrapped it up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
give me your spin on it real quick because I have thoughts about it too.
So I would really say this is. I mean, I do think. God damn it! So let me tell me what you think about this general review of Ava. Someone on an anime podcast recently said, after reacting to the end of Ava 4, they said Ava as a whole thing is not really something you can describe as good or bad. Like, I mean, there are certainly parts of it that I think are objectively incredibly unique and powerful and some of the best character writing I've ever encountered, but then on the other side, everything with the plot, a lot of people, I think, and it's totally justified. I don't blame anyone who rates this movie lowly by any means. I think I really had big problems with just the whole the way the lore just fucking devoured itself in this movie, and the fact that it was just so unintelligible. And yet,
Yeah.
I really think it's the fact that this is a culmination. My review of this movie is a culmination of all the movies and the series. It is not a review of just this movie because it's in a very unique position because the story has been going on in different iterations for like 25 years or something.
Mhm.
Like a really long time. Between one series and 5 movies, so I'll just leave it at I think it's really hard. Something like this, if you really, really love it, at least for me, I should say personally, because I know you obviously fucking really love Evangelion too. You're
I
a huge
devour
fan.
that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say. So what it really comes down to is all the plot stuff and the lore stuff in this was some of the worst Evangelion stuff they've done, but the catharsis and the character growth and especially the quiet moments we get, like Rei gardening or having a conversation with Shinji, or Shinji, like becoming his own person at the end. It's just, I think in the context of the whole series, I get choked up thinking about it. It's just very, very powerful to me. And Shinji's arc really just spoke like huge volumes to not really myself or my life, but just coping with emotions and coping with grief and everything, I guess. So yeah, it's really just an entirely personal thing. I totally understand your 3-star rating opposed to my 4.5-star rating.
Like at the end of the day with Evangelion, it's like, I think as the whole thing, as you look at it as a whole, like, yeah, it's giant monsters, attack each other at the start, and then it gets very plot focused at that point. But then it kind of evolves and morphs into this kind of
psychoanalysis of the person who wrote it.
Well, yeah. Well, then psychoanalysis of the person who wrote it, and then like the characters then kind of evolve into these different stages of depression and
Mhm.
or yeah, and how they deal with depression. And as the show went on, like, you know, when you go and watch like the TV show's ending, it's very kind of um it's very much so kind of like this is just existing, like the show ends in a very kind of like neutral way, whereas the end of Evangelion is a very you look at that and it's like that's a movie about just having to constantly battle depression. It is going to be there, but you've come to terms that
Mhm.
you will find yourself going through these huge internal monstrous battles with yourself.
Yeah.
And even when you've come to closure with yourself at that, you're still choking yourself at the end
Yeah.
about like the fucking anxieties and the sadness and the you know the tragicness of life and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a dark ending for sure. It's an ending I prefer,
The
but
end of Ava you prefer?
I like the end of Ava a lot more.
Oh,
But
really?
I
Okay.
understand exactly what needed to happen with this one. And wasn't
Mhm.
expecting it to go in this direction. So like
Yeah.
when the rebuilds happen and I know and you know seeing kind of where it ends, like see why the rebuilds were a thing is I think what's really great about the rebuilds is that it when it starts when you have context of the creator and you're
Yeah.
watching the show evolve and you're looking back at the show, it is such a stunning feat and stunning way to see someone let go of
Mhm.
Evangelion. And
Yeah.
when you get to the ending where it's like real life,
Right.
that
Yeah.
final shot
Yeah.
and the characters are running off, and
Mhm.
that's just like that image alone is just so fitting for uh Ano, because
Mhm.
it's letting go finally and seeing that Shinji become who he is at the end. It's
Yeah.
shocking, but in a
Yeah.
very
It is.
beautiful way, in a
Yeah.
very gratifying way. Like the last half hour of that film is so good.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
else leading up to it, where it's very kind of dense plot, which I think is kind of purposeful, where it's like it kind of gets so convoluted and nutty and weird and bizarre and just like so incoherent because the show has kind of turned into that. Like, and that's how our mind kind of gets when we're in this kind of depressive state. Is like we get so caught up in our fucking head and whatnot that nothing,
Yeah.
like everything, gets anxious and out of sorts and whatnot. And I think that like the plotting of that, while it's ridiculous, and I don't think works in a practical sense. I think in an emotional level, looking like as the show evolves from something that's story driven to then character driven to then emotionally driven, I think makes the show far and unique, uh, fascinating than any other anime or TV show because it just
Mhm.
it breaks down its own meta without having to be so obvious with itself. So while I
Yeah.
don't love it, I understand why it had to happen. And I understand that it's very comforting for Ano to make
Yeah.
something like this at the end of the day. And looking at people's comments online too about the ending too, and them kind of
Mhm.
like seeing how like how depression for them uh can come to a close in a very satisfying way of just letting go and just kind of moving on and whatnot. It's not that easy said and done because you have to go through such a long battle to get there. And I think the representation of how long the show's been going and how long these rebuilds have been taken and the different iterations of these endings, I think is very showing of like how depression works.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I looked at it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I would just say to sell anyone on watching Evangelion in general, I think you hit the nail on the head at one point, is that it's really it's hard to do. It's really impossible to do, but it's really meant to be ingested as if you are witnessing the author of this art just work through the worst mental crisis anyone could ever imagine in their life. And all of the insane religious lore, the sci-fi lore, all of the pseudoscience babble is all, as you said, just a metaphor for anxiety and depression and a self-destructive personality. That's the only thing it's meant to be. It's really just about the characters. And I guess I should say that in terms of me giving it a 4.5, I do really think that when you look at the plot in this movie, as you said, in terms of something that's meant to be just manic and undecipherable and just so far out there, like I think very similar to what Lana did with Matrix Resurrections. So I have problems with the movie, but I really love Lana and I love her vision of that film. I think it's really similar to what happened with Evangelion 4, is that all the fucking horrible plot structures are really meant to just put you in a mood and mindset of that horrific anxiety that you just can't overcome. It's not really meant to be understood, and I really love that.
I think it's single-handedly the greatest representation of depression in any form of media, just because it does it. Let's just knowing the context of the creator, seeing the longevity of the show, seeing how the show kind of ebbs and flows with it. It's just it's brilliant, and is a very honest, raw, and real kind of interpretation of all that. So yeah.
Do you want to start your top 3 so Matt can rejoin us?
Yeah. Hey, come on in, Matt.
See, we did it, man. We were really efficient with our time, like we said we were gonna be.
The only anime I fuck with is Fruits Basket.
Hey, that's fair.
Okay,
Let's
A
go.
lot of people like that one.
No, I've been meaning to try to give Eva another shot.
It's definitely a tricky show to navigate through because,
on your first watch through.
Well, when I
watch-
watched it, I was 15, and the only thing that existed was the TV show, which I watched all the way through.
You got a Fruits Basket shout out in the chat?
Let's
Fuck
go.
yeah, get it! Fruits Basket rules.
My number 3.
Yeah.
My number 3 is. So let me make sure I got the director here too. My number 3 is the directorial debut of Michael Sarnowski and a Nicolas Cage classic is Pig.
Yes.
I was blown away by Pig.
How fucking hard did you sob at the end of that movie?
I dropped tear for sure. I didn't sob.
It wasn't that
tear.
bad. It was bad.
It hit me like a train, like his whole journey hit me like a train wreck. But yeah, no, I think I think it's his finest performance in ages. In terms of like an honest, real good dramatic performance. Like, I mean, just like if you were to play the Oscar clip, it's that scene of him in the restaurant talking to the chef about his insignificance with life.
Definitely.
I think what you mentioned earlier, he's a truffle he's a truffle hunter and has a truffle pig that gets taken away from him, and he's on like this revenge mission to get it back. And as the movie goes on, you learn more about his past and the ghosts in his closet and whatnot, and kind of what haunts him. And I think it's a really good examination of talent and impressions, and nostalgia plays a role. Like in terms of like how what Nicolas Cage's character, like what he does, like in his past life, that opens up this kind of nostalgic floodgates for certain key characters for what he ends up making and doing. Is very prevalent and very and goes to show kind of like that some people just like the people in this movie aren't villains. They are just very broken and sad and are holding on to a memory. Like you look at the villain in this, and he's kind of like a counterpoint to Nicolas Cage's character. You know, they both have lost someone of value to them, and they are just trying to retain those memories. One's trying to retain it, in a very natural way, and the other one's trying to obsessively kind of pull back to it. So, I think it's a very riveting and powerful film, and yeah, it's one of my favorites of the year for sure. I was really blown away by it, and any movie that has a good cover, or any cover of "I'm on Fire," is always going to get a thumbs up for me. So
Okay,
that's
of
Pig.
course.
Pig is incredible.
Yeah, it is. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Eh.
What the hell? Matt, you fucking dog.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that great. My number 2 of the
Aw.
year.
This fucking guy. It's gonna be his number one. Watch
Uh,
out,
Yeah,
100%.
sister.
My number 2 of the year is Together Together.
What?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's Patty Harrison, surprisingly Ed Helms.
Oh, I wanted to watch this film.
Yeah, it's I think it's just a really effective I don't know, it's just so good. It's such a sweet movie. It's basically about a woman who is hired to be basically like a surrogate for Ed Helms, who like can't find love and wants a baby, and she just like needs money. Both of the performances are great. Somebody finally figured out how to make Ed Helms work, and it's to
Thank God.
make
Yeah.
everybody in the world around him also think that his like shtick is fucking miserable. It's I don't know. It's just I think really it's a very good movie that also like hit me right at the right time. And it's just really effective. It's also not that this necessarily has any bearing on the quality of the movie itself. But Patty Harrison is like a trans actor that just got to come like play a woman in a movie, and it doesn't have to be weird, and it's fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
And
Nice.
also Patty Harrison it doesn't play as much in this film. It's her certainly more restrained. She is such a comedic powerhouse. She's like one of my favorite actors right now.
Okay.
Comedically, she's great.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very sweet movie. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. The general public might find this one a bit controversial just for me putting it up this high. It's a classic. It's a classic Nick Nice Teal entry.
Oh no, which Justice
Do we
League
got-
movie is
do we
this gonna
got-
be?
Oh my God, do we have like
Well,
a
I don't know.
bird scenario?
I'm not sure how anyone's gonna feel about this.
Oh
actually.
no, what is this?
James Bond, baby.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
James
No time
Bond's
to die.
fucking slaps. What do you
Okay,
mean?
good. I've
I
seen people
Didn't
have
see
some.
it, wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just I just think 3 out of 5 of the movies in this franchise that Daniel Craig masterfully led are just like classic films, and I would include this one. I do agree with the common criticism that Rami Malek is a pretty weak villain, and the carryover reliance on Blofeld, could be better, but
He's a classic villain type, but
Yeah.
his execution's really a little odd.
it doesn't fit with how real and raw the Daniel Craig vibe has been, I think. Like Lashif was a perfect like mix of capturing that old essence but also making it new and fresh.
Yeah.
And then Javier Bardem was, I think Javier Bardem's take was entirely modern, really not like the classics at all, but it worked really well.
Yeah.
And then I mean, God bless Christoph Waltz. He's great, but we don't need to talk about the writing in Spectre. I love Spectre just as a spectacle movie. I love the action scenes. I think Daniel's great in it. Most people seem to think he's kind of off his game in that one, but I think he's doing really well. So it's a fun one. I think the whole series, personally, aside from Quantum, is definitely probably top 3 most watchable series of films I could go back to. Like Casino Royale through this ending, skipping Quantum, I could do that any day. So they're just so much fun. Daniel's interpretation is so fucking awesome and unique and progressive in so many different alleys compared to the previous iterations. And I don't know if you guys knew this, the action scenes of this movie are fucking sick. So that's it.
They're pretty solid.
Oh, the fucking Ana de Armas fight scene.
Oh, so good.
So good. I was really not expecting her part to be something. I thought she was just kind of feel like a shoehorned, blasé, just kind of nothing character, but she was so good. She had so much personality for the very brief time she was in it. So
her sequence was very nice. Yeah.
So I had a really unfortunate setup with this movie. So I've never seen Spectre.
Okay.
So I went around and I asked a bunch of people. Once this came out, I was like, do I need to see Spectre before I watch this? And they were like, yeah, dude, obviously you do. And I could never bring myself to donate 6 hours to James Bond, because this movie, fun fact, is 15 minutes longer than Dune.
That is a very fun fact, because it flew by.
And so is Spectre. So I was like,
okay,
do I have time at this point in my life to donate 6 hours to James Bond? And it was a resounding no. For one of them being, from what I've heard, one of the weaker entries into the series.
Spectre or this
Spectre.
one? Yeah, I am in a very vocal minority. I like the writing and how we get from point A to B to C there's a lot of bullshit, especially I'd say with Blofeld, and his whole writing is not well done. But I mean, if you like stunts and action scenes that are really good and cool,
no,
like
Skyfall's great. I never had an issue. I just kind of missed Spectre. It wasn't that I was like, I refuse to watch this movie. I just never got around to it.
Yeah, very curious to hear your thoughts when you can do that.
Yeah, we'll see when I have 6 hours to give to Daniel Craig.
Okay, Justin, number 2.
My number 2 is gonna be Bo Burnham's Inside.
Oh my god! Wow, you were the strongest on this out of all of us. That's
this
kind of
one
feels like an inverse.
I
Yeah,
kind
this
of thought that this was gonna be your number 1.
It was for a long time, and I kind of went back and forth on this one, my number 1, and I was just I mean, yeah, just to kind of reiterate, it's just it's a great piece. It's a one-man show. It's remarkable what he does in one space.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He commentates on kind of culture in general, white man culture and comedy, sexting culture, Twitch culture, he just so he touches on so many things in a very unique way, and then also is delving into his own existential kind of creative crisis. And I think this one probably resonates with me more just as a creative and someone that's kind of and I think maybe a lot of people can feel this kind of never-ending dread with the pandemic and whatnot, and just what is happening with life is so kind of uncertain right now. And I think Inside is a very interesting and compelling kind of dive into that thinking, especially how Bo Burnham presents that alone. And I think as a 87-minute cohesive special that touches on a lot of interesting sketches and topics and themes and whatnot, I think it just does a really good job. And of course, the music is very memorable, and I think he's very he's a very, very clever comedian and entertainer. So I've always been impressed by his talents. I'm not like a diehard fan of his, but I'm very much so like a great admirer of his abilities as a showsman. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I was really impressed with like a lot of like the variety he was able to do in one space for 90 minutes. So that's Inside.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that
here
back
we
to me?
are.
Are we at number 1 now, or are we at number
We
2
are
still?
at the end.
We are at number
Whoa.
1.
Big,
All right.
big, huge,
Um,
massive.
My number 1 movie of the year is Nicolas Cage's Pig. God, this movie fucks.
Oh my
Um,
god!
Japan!
Jesus Christ.
He got
Um,
this. Fuck.
This movie's so fucking good. It's really like
You had
I
us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
huh?
You had us in the first half. I ain't gonna lie.
Nice. I don't know if Nicolas Cage has ever or will ever turn in a better performance than the performance in this movie. He is the most tapped into kind of his humanity, and the movie is also the most kind of tapped into him that I think I've ever seen. This is just an absolute career best for him. And it's just such a haunting, poignant portrayal of just like what it is to lose and try to survive, what it is to be a human being and to exist. And everyone in this movie is so broken in such an interesting way. And obviously both of you motherfuckers got here before I did, so I know that all of this has been said before.
Yeah.
But it's just the scene of him going back to his bakery or his
Yeah.
restaurant that is now a bakery is it
Chef's
mm,
kiss.
it is absolutely the best thing that's been put on film this year, maybe in a long time. It's amazing, and he is so dialed into the human condition. And God, this fucking movie, I think the only time I cried during this movie was I like teared up during that scene of him in his old restaurant. But I don't think I was like right again as a human being for like 2 days after watching this movie. I was just like, oh, this has destroyed me beyond a point that like tears could respond to.
I
Like
respect that reaction.
it's just such an amazing movie. Oh god, yeah, and Ducky. Yeah, when he goes back to his house at the end. Oh, when he goes back to his old house, yeah. No, but when he just goes back to his house at the end, and oh god, that movie. And let's be honest, best part of the entire movie is where he just grabs that bike and somebody tries to stop him, and he just gutturally screams at them, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Or his Fuck Seattle line.
The Fuck Seattle line's great. Yeah. I'm concerned about anyone who didn't love this movie.
Yeah.
Or I'm jealous of the life that they've had.
I talked to people, like when I first saw it, I mentioned it to Morgan, and Morgan was indifferent to it. I was like, you gotta see it. Then like a couple days later, he texted me this long thread about how much he loved it. And every time like I bring up Pig to people, I'm like, you gotta watch it. It's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
it's just it's unbelievable. God, what a fucking movie.
Aside from like Rage Cage meme culture, he's like when he turns in a performance like that, it's like he's still got it. He can bust it out and then just like do a remarkable job with.
Well, and it goes to show that he always has it. And you hear stories about him on set, even sets that are like these red box movies or movies like The Color Out of Space, where he turns in these bizarre performances that are completely inaccessible. And you hear stories of people on set and they were like, he was an absolute professional. He had done all his homework. He came in ready to go. And you're just like, that's just how his brain works. These insane choices like are him doing his work.
Yeah. I
Like
agree.
he's one of the most professional people in the industry. He's just an insane person who makes insane person choices like 60% of the time. And sometimes they fucking work. But I don't know. Yeah, he's really something.
Yeah.
I posted a link in the chat. I recommend everyone who has seen Pig and or enjoys Nicolas Cage check it out. It's a 3-hour video essay about Nicolas Cage's acting style and how he has been perceived and how meme culture has affected him emotionally and personally. It's a really, like, I was glued into it. The person who wrote it is a very amazing, passionate writer. So check that out, Nicolas Cage fans. It's 3 hours, and you will love every second of it.
All right, I'm putting this to the side. I'm watching that later.
All right. Well, I think we better swing into something a bit more upbeat.
Here it is.
Oh,
Woo! It's time to talk about Spider-Man.
let's go, champ.
No Way Home. So I was decently lucky with this movie overall in terms of avoiding spoilers until, like, you know, fucking or the week that it came out.
Yeah.
I literally did not watch any trailers. I haven't watched this trailer till right now. And I avoided 100% of the spoilers of what actors are in it, and then one day I opened my YouTube and there was a recommended video, and the title of the video was "In Theater Reaction, blank actor appears in Spider-Man." I'm like, are you what the fuck even is this shit? Like, anyway, so I genuinely wanted to I tried very hard to go into this so blind as possible, to be as, at least in my mind, I guess, as objective as possible and fresh as possible. And my expectations were like moderate. I thought this was going to be like on the same level as the first two, or maybe actually a little bit beneath them. But I gotta say, this is the strongest of the three by far. Everything that, you know, Spider-Man historically has encompassed is, you know, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's the most approachable, like, American, you know, well-known superhero that in the real world you would ideally, you know, he kind of represents the everyman despite being one of the more superpowered members. And the whole script was so purely perfectly focused and dialed in to what does Peter Parker represent. And we really haven't had like any of that in the first two Tom Holland movies, which again I thought were pretty good to pretty great. But just the fact that this movie was all about what does Spider-Man represent, what does Peter Parker represent, and also the fact that it was really the first time in the entire Spider-Man, all three of the franchises with Tobey, Andrew, and now Tom Holland, you know, in the first two franchises, you know, those iterations of Peter Parker, they would say to the villains in the movie, I want to help you, please let me help you. And it's true, he did want to help them, but then, like, you would just kind of move on, and it would just kind of become the hero versus villain story again, and then you would have a few nice brief scenes where maybe the villain would change. But this entire script, once the villains show up, is all about rehabilitation. It's all about, like, forgiveness, and that everyone in the world deserves hopefully as many chances as it takes, but, you know, there are limitations. And I really like that the movie addressed that too. You know, some people you can save, and some people you can, you know, get them halfway there, and some people are just, because of their nature or because of their circumstances, they can't really change. But, you know, You got to try. There's one moment in the theater when, and it's not even a big spoiler at all. I think like Spider-Man, Tom Holland just like put on his suit and he's about to swing into action, and someone's like, "What are you doing? Where are you going? You can't help them," or something like that. And then he does this like spider land on the ground. He turns his head. It does an incredibly dramatic zoom that lasts like 3 or 4 seconds onto Tom Holland's face, and he says, "I have to try." And I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, dude!" Just I love that it's so cheesy but a wonderful, all-encompassing line that I don't think we got any exploration of in the first 2 movies. And then the fact that this movie was all about, Peter Parker like being what he's supposed to represent. It was just so well done and incredibly fun. Like I was really surprised by the pace of it. I don't remember a single moment where I think I was bored, like, at all. So yeah, I don't know, man. Really blew me away. I did not expect it to be nearly as good as it was. There you go.
Yeah, it's I think for a film that was kind of like that set itself up for like as a recipe for disaster, as a copycat of In the Spider-Verse, I think it pulls off its story marvelously and effortlessly, and is able to stand on its own and kind of redefine Spider-Man in MCU, which I think's important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think where he ends up at the end is very fascinating and very
Yes.
honest and very true to the character. And I am now looking forward to seeing what they do with that, because now it's like we have a Spider-Man that's kind of like in that, like he is in that same realm as Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man, where he's alone and he's dealing with a lot of like the grief and pain that those Spider-Mans had gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah, aside from that, like the performances from everyone's stellar, especially like Willem Dafoe is out of this
Oh, yeah.
world.
Yeah, Willem
And
Dafoe's great in this movie.
yeah, like, and I think there are other actors that show up that get like loving, fantastic moments or like little second chances at doing another Spider-Man. So I think it's a wonderful Spider-Man film. I think
Oh,
Homecoming's a little better, just
Yeah.
purely
Really?
if it's just purely
Okay.
just it being a Spider-Man film and not like just having that just be about Tom Holland Spider-Man and not having to infuse any Avenger elements or multiverse elements or what. Like, just as a purely Spider-Man film, I like Homecoming just a tad more than this.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
totally can see that.
I'm a little bit more middle of the road with this movie. This is one. It was really tough because I was making the movie and we like snuck out. I like essentially wrapped early to go see this movie, and we watched it. And I felt kind of middle of the road about it. I certainly had not avoided spoilers in the sense that I had gotten a lot of like the speculation of what this movie might be. And I don't know, like something about it didn't play for me, but I was like, I think maybe I think the emotional arc of the movie of Tom Holland in the movie totally works.
Mhm.
But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till we finish filming and then I'm gonna go see it again. And now there's a horrible COVID variant and I don't want to go back to the theater.
Okay.
So I would really like to see this one again.
Yeah. Me as well.
I just think, like, again, just it being so true to the character in this one more than others, because I know people have made the complaints like, well, Spider-Man's just kind of hand-given this stuff, like, by Tony
Yeah.
Stark, and, everyone knows his identity and yada yada, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, but that's like, do you want it to be the same as the other Spider-Man film? I think it's interesting that he has a new best friend. I think it's interesting that his best friend knows. I think it's interesting that Aunt May knows. I think it's interesting that the Spider-Man has a mentor in the form of Tony Stark, where we didn't get
Mhm.
that with other folks.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's interesting that it's different enough, and then now it's retooling itself to be a bit more familiar, but how it got there I thought was very natural. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else
That's
on
you.
Mr. Spider-Man?
No,
Alright.
let's wrap it up. You got it.
My number one of the year is a fresh watch, and
Oh.
one that I was very, very, very much so blown away by. It is Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
What the fuck?
Uh,
You just watched it.
I watched this
Wow.
yesterday, and I haven't
Oh my
watched it yet.
Okay.
So it's very fresh for me, but I was glued to it. From the moment it started to like by the time it ended, I was shocked because I was like, oh wow, I could keep watching for another 3 hours. Like I did not realize 2.5 hours had flown by because it is such an easy watch for a movie
Yeah.
that's so that I've, as far as I'm aware, based on like watching like Jodorowsky's Dune, a documentary about Alejandro Jodorowsky trying to make the film back in the 70s before
Yes, I've seen
before-
that documentary.
yeah, it's a
So good.
stunning documentary.
Mhm.
And just the denseness of the material, and then just the great vastness of talent and technical innovation that had to go into making it back then, like kind of is as staggering as trying to make like another Star Wars back in the day and have it reach that same peak. So going into this, I was taken in dramatically by how well the world building was done. Like the world building in Dune is just incredible. Like I loved how, like, even though it's so far distant to the future, everything
Mhm.
feels so real and grounded,
Yeah.
and yet it's still a science fiction film. Like the dragonfly hovercraft doesn't feel too far away.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of flashy science fiction elements, but there's enough, like there's always something new and different with each sequence or scene, like little technical piece of world building that just opens up the landscape even more.
Yeah.
I thought the kind of like Hamlet kind of elements of it were really fascinating and something I wasn't expecting from this film, where it's the devastation of a dynasty by another kind of like invading group, and then it's like kind of real world parallels with like kind of oil rigging in the Middle East, and like the devour for oil and power and wealth and whatnot, and just how that's represented through the spice and whatnot, and kind of our political relations, within the Middle East, and that being with the people on Iraq or Arrakis. And then, like, I just, aside from all that, like, yeah, the storytelling, it's like it flies by. It's like it's such a engaging watch. The performances across the board are stellar. I love Timmy in it. Josh Brolin's great.
Duncan,
Oscar-
Idaho, baby.
Duncan Idaho, Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac. I really enjoyed Rebecca Ferguson. Oh, and Stellan
Fucking Stellan
Skarsgård
Skarsgård.
as
Oh,
the
So-
Stellan
as the
Skarsgård's
Baron?
wild in that
Holy
movie.
shit, dude! That like he
Okay.
was this big slob. Like his fucking like his like heavier makeup looked like fucking goo washing off him. It looked so good.
The part where they run in and he's barely managed to save himself and he's like up in the corner of the ceiling
Oh, yeah, it's
Right.
is the
fucked.
most disturbing thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is anybody else a little bit disappointed we didn't get some Oscar Isaac dick?
I already got
When he's-
wait,
when
Oscar
he's
Isaac
like
dick.
When he's like laying
He's
there
like that. Yeah,
on the
yeah.
table,
Oh, okay.
fully
Yeah.
naked, you're like,
Hell yeah.
show me a little bit of Oscar Isaac's dick.
Hell
And Denny
yeah.
Villeneuve's like, look, this is a classy movie. We can't be showing Oscar Isaac's dick. I think it was incorrect. I think it was a bad call. Um,
I
That's
gotta
cool,
keep
man.
it classy. You gotta keep it classy.
I'm so intrigued as to what it really was, because in all the promotional materials, they really promoted everyone who's in this movie, and I didn't quite process it, and then I realized how like afterwards I was like, oh, like they just marketed everybody, even though half of them basically aren't in this movie,
Yeah, it's
because
kind of
they're going to be
crazy.
in the next one.
Especially Zendaya. Like I was expecting more of her in this, but she's in it like I think a healthy amount for what the story calls for.
I think
Um,
for me, I was most shocked about Javier Bardem, because he's like
Oh,
fifth
yeah.
build in the Dune cast, and he
I
has
forgot he
two
was in it.
scenes.
Yeah.
Because he must be huge in the next one. I can't imagine.
I'm not familiar with the Dune story other than David Lynch's, and I barely remember that one other than Kyle MacLachlan riding a sandworm, and I'm like, cool.
So I watched most of David Lynch's Dune after watching this movie. For the first time. I got to the point in David Lynch's Dune where this movie ends,
Yeah.
and then I was kind of like, I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Yeah. I yeah, you know, it's really fascinating too. Is like not a lot of like futury weapons are used in this. Like it's a lot of sword stuff, a lot of like no plasma guns, no. It's nothing like super, no lasers. It's just all very, very.
'cause
It
of the-
feels
It's
very
because of the
grounded.
technology, though. It's because of the canon, so it's like it's
Yeah.
justified that they
Yeah.
have really powerful personal shields. So you need a blunt or a melee weapon to get
Yeah.
through them.
But that's like
So
what's so
sick.
that's just what's so brilliant about this is that it's
Mhm.
like I think in comparison to Blade Runner, you know, it's very like you know exactly what you're getting from a science fiction neo noir film like that. Whereas this, it's like it's so I don't know, it withholds so much like traditional science fiction things that you would expect and just
Mhm.
does a great job with just grounding it in a way that feels so real. Like I could believe like we have these giant fucking dragonfly copters, so I can believe a giant fat guy floating from one end of a table to another, you know?
Mhm.
He's he's just such a behemoth in that movie.
It's fucking wild, dude. I was completely blown away by just the technical uh elevation of all this. Like and the cinematographer being the same from Rogue One, so of course the spectacle of it is huge.
Okay.
Like like Deakins wasn't available, and I think maybe that was for the best because it's like here it's like you get to feel the grandiose of the desert, you get to feel the grandiose of the sandworms,
Yeah.
you feel the grandiose
Yeah.
of the technology. It's
Yeah, I don't know how this would have felt with Deacons.
It would have been a lot of orange, a lot of orange, and there's already a lot of orange in this.
It
but-
is. It
but
is.
It
It
would
is
have
a lot.
been a lot more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I really was like surprised by just how it's not original, but I was surprised by how original it felt in comparison to everything else that's out and about. And it reminded me of like the same kind of world building like that Star Wars or Harry Potter has. It just does a really good job at just bringing you in here, getting you caught up, and having you absorb every new thing that happens, and every scene has something new to offer in terms of its science fiction element, its storytelling, its character building. It's just it's it's exactly what Denis Villeneuve has been building towards since he started kind of doing this science fiction run. So I'm glad it's kind of like all his efforts have culminated into this like masterclass of a film.
Yeah, it's made me maybe finally want to go watch Blade Runner 2.
There you go.
Okay. Brings us to the end. Well played, everyone. Good choices this year. I
GG's.
think we
GG's in the chat.
did a good one.